All right, so guys, this is Classic Role Player. I'm here with Michael J. Ward, author of the Destiny Quest series. He was kind enough to give us an interview about his works. I've got a bunch of questions. We got a limited amount of time, but we'll see what we can get through. Michael, it's great to meet you.
Yeah.
You reached out not too long ago and suggested that I review your books. I don't know if you had seen some of my solo game book stuff. I'm really new to the solo game book scene, but I'm so appreciative that you did, because I was blown away looking at your stuff compared to some of the other things that I'd seen so far. The open world concept, the amount of items that you can get, the mix and match amount of items you can get, pets, minions. It just blew me away.
Cool.
So yes, just a real quick history of my step through with game books. Like I said, I've seen it when I was a kid. I think we're probably close to the same age, right? But
Yeah.
you actually might be a little younger, I think, because I missed the whole fantasy or fighting fantasy stuff growing up. I love Dungeons and Dragons, all the original stuff. But so I recently started picking this stuff up again, looking at it, and I love the fighting fantasy. I picked up this D&D one, and it was just terrible. I couldn't even make a review on it. I really wanted to. I got
I
into
think I played some of those actually.
What's that?
I do. I think I played some of those actually back in the day.
Yeah, I wanted to like them, but the one I did, I didn't love. Fighting fantasy is great. It's kind of linear, and you try to get through it. It's wonderful. And then I got into Lone Wolf, which had a little bit more mechanics.
Yeah.
And then I did some Crown and Tower stuff, Legendary Kingdoms, which is great with a party. But then here's all these books I played with, and then your stuff came along. And this one book is about as thick as 6 or 7 of these others. I couldn't believe it. How do you get inspiration for all this material in one book?
I don't know. I don't know really, because I just I've just finished the sequel, obviously, to Raiders of Dune Sea, the Wrath of Ragnarok, and I was completely intending it for it to be half the size, cheaper to produce, quicker to write, all this one, and then it just, by the time I finished it, it's actually bigger than the last book. Yeah, well, slightly. I mean, and I don't know. I think it's just, maybe I'm just very wordy. I don't know, but also I think because of the quest structure, do you know what I mean? I have to kind of, that kind of sets out a kind of structure for the book. Do you know what I mean? And I kind of have to keep to that sort of that framework that I created in the very first DestinyQuest book. You know what I mean? So
sure. For those of you who haven't seen my review, I do a playthrough, and I didn't get very far into it because I didn't want to spoil anything for anybody. But I could tell just early on the complexity of the storyline and the things that are happening. Do you flowchart this out? How in the world do you even make this happen without it? I could see me trying and being about 20 pages in and it just being a giant mess of spaghetti that doesn't work.
I mean, you probably find it weird, but I kind of can keep it all in my head.
Wow.
Weirdly, I don't have a flow chart. I don't really sort of plan it out that way. I think I just I think about it from a narrative point of view. Because I mean, it's slightly easier for me to write one of these because it's split into little quests. Well, I say little quests. Some of them are very big quests, but at least it kind of decompartmentalizes, the whole book. Do you know what I mean? I can work on it in little sections, and so from that point of view, I just kind of just start writing it, and I just do it all in the quest all in one Word document, and I can just basically keep it in my head. I mean, and I don't know why, because I'm not a particularly logical or mathematical person, you know what I mean? I don't know how I can do it, but even now when I'm sort of just I'm proofreading Wrath of Ragnarok now, and it's like I know that if I make one change somewhere, I know automatically the impact that has on everything else. I don't know why. I can just sort of, I don't know, I just have a head for kind of remembering it all. I don't know why, but
that's crazy. I'm going to share my screen here because I was reading your about ET and how you kind of got into everything.
Oh yeah.
And it feels like maybe you were destined to write these books because I don't understand how you could even how you could do it. The amount of different endings or different paths that you could take, it just blows my mind. I'm really impressed. Also wanted to mention the price. currently on Amazon here in America, you can get this book for $24.31. And I wanted to ask you if you have any metrics on, amount of game time
Oh
that,
gosh, I've no idea. I mean,
because
it's
I feel
hard to say
like,
because I mean, I suppose because when I game test the book, I kind of, I kind of just go through the combats. You know what I mean?
mhm,
So I'm not actually reading it at the same time as I'm kind of game testing. Does that make sense?
sure,
So I've never
yeah,
actually probably gone through one of my books from start to finish
right,
through actually reading it and playing it. So I mean, that
yeah.
might be one for the readership to comment on. But I mean, I can imagine it's a lot. I
Well,
mean, it's hours and hours and hours, really.
yeah, I think it'd be great thing for the community to help you figure out how many hours it really is, because for $24 you can get, I would
Sure,
assume, hundreds of hours of entertainment out of that.
yeah. I mean, it's a completely full, almost like a solo role playing campaign, isn't it? Really,
Yeah,
in a book. So yeah,
yeah,
I imagine it's probably the best value for money, really, isn't it? Isn't it? Really, I need
yeah,
to up
it
my
is.
prices. That's what I need to do.
Yeah, well,
Joke,
exactly.
joke, joke.
I just screwed everybody up here with this. So I've got, on your collection, I've also got one of your other books. I haven't started it yet, but this is one of your, so you had, oh, my green screen's messing this up, but you had originally two other books before Raiders of Dune Sea. Is that correct?
Three.
Three, three of the
Yeah,
three of the DestinyQuest ones. Because I also own your World Companion. If you like the
yeah.
lore, that's pretty awesome. Are you counting that in your three, or you have three of
No,
them?
no, no. That was just like a side project. So yeah, my first three books are The Legion of Shadow, The Heart of Fire,
Okay,
and The Eye of Winter's Fury.
gotcha.
And I'm sort of referring to them now as my kind of legacy trilogy.
Right.
So that's kind of like one set, and then Raiders of Dune Sea, which is my most recent one.
Yeah.
This is kind of the first of like what I'm calling the Sands of Time trilogy, because it's actually a proper trilogy where you take your character through from one book to the next, which you didn't do in the previous one. So in a way, you really are going on this massive epic adventure
Yeah.
because your character is going to be going through three books basically,
Yeah.
and you get to see them not only progress through and that character progress through it from a narrative point of view, but also their power level as you're playing the game and their items and stuff. So it should be quite a unique,
Yeah. So
cool experience.
so in case you didn't catch that, I mean, this is the next two books are part of Raiders of the Dune Sea. So it's a real trilogy where you keep your guy, he keeps going through. Michael's going to have a Kickstarter starting soon for the second book, Wrath of Ragnarok, which you have just finished up writing. Is that correct?
Literally about 2 weeks ago.
It's awesome.
So I'm still a little bit. My brain. I do apologize if I'm still a bit. I'm still a bit kind of.
Yeah, it's
My
awesome.
brain's just mush. Really,
It's
it's kind
awesome.
of weird. Because you can't keep your energy levels up as you're writing it. Then
Yeah.
the minute you finish it, it's almost like wow.
Wow.
You don't sometimes realize just how intensive it is until you've kind of finished it.
Sure. And we talked about maybe this being 200-300 hours per book. If that's even close, it could be way below that. After three books, I mean, you could spend 1,000 hours with your one character going through these three books, which I find exhilarating. That sounds amazing. It's probably going to be pretty depressing at the end once you're finished with all three. Where do you go from there? But hey, pick your guy up and write your own adventures, or who knows what you have on the horizon after that. I think it's great, and I wanted to show some more screenshots of stuff. So one of the things I find fascinating, also, you have, like, obviously your community seems pretty active. You've got fans that have made a player's guide. I didn't even think about that when I was playing through this. One of the great things, and I'll show this really fast in the actual PDF, is the character sheet. So items are huge. I mean, there's all these different items you can take, and they have, you're gonna have to refresh my memory, but they have different characteristics. Was that,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
the
So items have speed, brawn, or magic, and armor.
right? So based upon who you want your guy to be, you can drop pit, you can keep the items that you find in the book, along the way, or drop them, basically building up, a tank or a thief or a magic user. Am I thinking of that correctly?
Yeah, that's right. So basically, there's three main. I mean, I call them paths, but I mean they're classes basically, which is warrior, rogue, and mage. And they sort of dictate kind of the items that you get throughout the book. So you're kind of getting abilities that are tailored towards that path that you've chosen. But also, as well as choosing between mage, rogue, and warrior, there's also careers you can learn.
Yeah.
And you can have one career at a time, and they allow you to sort of specialize, in something. So, for example, as a mage, you might specialize to be a pyromancer, or you might specialize to be kind of more of like a healer, or so it's another layer of customization for your character.
Approximately how many careers do you think there are, like, in a single book?
Well, usually it's 5
Okay.
per path. In Wrath of Ragnarok is a little bit different. I think there's 5 mage ones and 4 for rogue and warrior. I think I've got that right.
That's awesome. So this is a fan invented
So this is a fantastic guy that's been putting together these player guides, and he's done all the the flow charts
right
for them. So he's literally he's just done the Heart of Fire one for book 2, so I'm due to upload that onto my website probably this week. But yeah, he kind of goes through, and he's done a fantastic job, because he's Italian, and he's been working very closely with the Italian community, because my books are out in Italy now. Wow. And there were a few errata and quite a lot of changes I introduced to the Italian book, and he's logged it all in this, because he's done an Italian version of it as well.
Sure.
So yeah, he's been fantastic, really. I mean, I wouldn't have the time to do this, you know what I mean?
Marco Garibaldi.
Yeah, Marco. Yeah,
that's amazing. I mean, it really, I mean, it was already in the book, but the fact that he breaks it out and we could talk about it is awesome. I mean, it should make people want to play this game. I think what I'm finding out is, because as I'm exploring this stuff, I'm exploring your stuff and some other people that are doing really good things. Like, there just seems to be a lot of people that have either touched game books and left them, or have no idea that they're out there. I just tweeted a second ago. I mean, as I'm thinking about all this, like, I feel like there's a whole brand new generation of 5e, Pathfinder, all these players that have no idea how the depth that is in these game books.
Yeah, I mean, they're the people I'm trying to reach, and it's difficult. But I think, obviously, with the recent, COVID and the lockdown,
sure.
I think a lot of people have got back into sort of tabletop gaming and role playing, because they can use things like this technology, Zoom, which is commonplace now, isn't it?
Right.
Which we're using right now. And so I think there's I think in my opinion anyway, been a huge resurgence in just role playing. And and also probably game books as well, because it's a solo experience you can play at home. So I mean, I am really hoping that I mean, I'm seeing a lot more interest in my books.
Good.
Right now, certain, and obviously with the Kickstarter coming next February, I'm just, I'm being optimistic that I can try and bring in, a kind of a new audience to it,
sure.
who maybe haven't really heard of DestinyQuest before, and then they can start with this new trilogy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm trying to do my part as well. I think.
Oh, thank you.
These books deserve. Yeah, your work deserves it, especially the price. I mean, you're well. Yeah, it's worth a lot more with the work that you put in as an artist and as an author. But I just think that the intricacy of this game, it's a wide open field that people haven't experienced. And there was a question I wanted to ask you. It's kind of a side note, just a personal question, not a personal question, but a personal player preference question. So you've got these levels that you kind of can put yourself into. But what if you're a guy like me who just wants to take a little bit of each? Am I going to be able to finish the book? Am I going to be able to beat the bad boss if I choose a little? And maybe we don't want to spoil that if that's part of finding stuff out. But just a thought in my head.
Well, in terms of game balancing, when I go through and test the books, I mean, I don't do it through any kind of spreadsheet or program or anything. I actually play it through as a player, and I play through with multiple times with different characters, and sometimes I'll use a character that I will really be fine tuning to see how good they can get, how powerful they can get, and then other characters I will be like making more casual choices, and trying to think what somebody else might do or play around with or experiment. So I do try and make sure that with the actual story itself, you know, the quests that you kind of have to go through, the monsters you have to fight to progress your story.
Sure.
I try and make sure that they are achievable, you know, by, you know, kind of your average Joe, so to speak. But then obviously you've got side challenges on the, you know, from the map that you can select, you know, like the legendary monsters. And in the new book, there's a new tier called the Mythic monsters, which are even more powerful. And they are combats where I can push it a little bit more, you know, for those players that really do like to, you know, kind of really min-max their character. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're out there. That's the 5e. That's your 5e fans right there. The min-maxers. They love.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a big draw of DestinyQuest because there's so many. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of items in each book, and linked to that are hundreds of special abilities. You know, obviously you won't have access to all of them because it depends on your choice of class, etc.
Sure.
But there's a huge amount, particularly with the new book, because the one I've just written, the potential for, you know, kind of looking at different combinations and combos, and you can really go mad, I think, with just kind of really overpowering your character if you want to, you know.
And I like what you say here about the mythical monsters. Like you wanted to create a raid style encounter.
Yeah. So what makes these slightly different is you go through different combat phases against them. So it's not just like a kind of single fight. It's like, you know, if you know raid bosses from World of Warcraft,
yes,
you know, they usually go through different phases, and in each phase they'll probably have different mechanics and things that you need to kind of learn. And so that was my idea with the Mythic monsters, is to really kind of play around with what I could get away with in using my combat system and the abilities, and there's some really cool stuff that I've introduced, a lot of which actually uses illustration. Got a fantastic artist, David White, who's been doing a lot of my internal illustrations. And you know, there's ones where, you know, in certain phases you might have to think about your positioning of your hero in relation to the monster. There's another one where you have armaments that you can also control, as well as, you know what I mean. So I've tried to just make these really huge, massive, kind of game experiences. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With good loot. They have the best loot, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. Yeah. So speaking of art, and this is some of the great parts of the book is, well, besides, you've got the open game style. So, you know, you have different acts the books are broken down into, and you've got your map where you just can choose locations you want to go to, although you're given clues by the by the icons as to whether you want to do that, depending on your level or not. Where I believe the skeleton is the final boss. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So that's the kind of final location that you want to go to. That's your sort of aim for each act, is to sort of level up your character so that they're powerful enough to kind of take on that final boss.
Crazy. Well, here's your town as well. I mean, I love the idea. I can just go to town, take a break, replenish or whatever. Very cool. Go ahead. I interrupted you.
No, I was just going to say about the other icons. So obviously the swords are kind of your quests. The spider icon is like your legendary monster, which is a slightly tougher encounter to what you would experience in the normal story. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to give a slight kind of sense of an open world feel to the story, and also it just gives you a sense of the geography of, you know, where you are in that region. And I suppose that probably comes from my roots of, you know, playing World of Warcraft and games of that ilk. You know, you kind of have your map and your zone, don't you? Yeah. And I just want to kind of give a thematic flavor to each of your acts of the story, you know. So this is obviously, these two maps are obviously, you know, from Raiders of Dune Sea. So
right, correct. Just fantastic stuff. Talk to us about dungeon diving, which is another feature I think that's different than most game books.
Oh, Dungeon Delve. Okay, so that's something I introduced in Raiders of Dune Sea, and I suppose that's kind of where it's kind of evolved now into the Mythic monsters. But in Raiders of Dune Sea, the Dungeon Delve was just it's kind of like a challenge or like a gauntlet of sort of chained encounters that you have to fight through. It's kind of like a bit of a test of endurance for your hero to see if they, you've got to kind of manage your, your health through it,
Yeah.
and your consumables like your health potions and things like that. And it's just a kind of a slightly tougher challenge, but more of an interesting one as well, because that you've got to fight through multiple stages of this dungeon, and then you'll reach like a kind of save point. And when you reach a save point, you'll get some loot. You can sort of heal back up, so to speak. It's like a save point, I suppose, in a computer game. And then you're ready for the next bit of the gauntlet, which is like another, say, 3 combats or whatever. So that was just something I introduced in Raiders of Dune Sea, just to kind of, I tried to introduce different things in each book.
Sure.
Just to keep it a little bit fresh and just play around with ideas,
I love that idea. Of course, I mean, and that's not even really part of, it's not necessarily a requirement of the story, right? It's just an added feature. If you
they are kind of side, they are kind of sort of side adventures, so you can completely skip them if you don't want to, but
if you're
and they're kind of, again, they're there for sort of like kind of a little bit of an added difficulty, added challenge for those people that just kind of want to kind of test out their heroes and try and get that elusive loot that when you actually get it, then you kind of like feel good about yourself, because it's like it's like that typical hero, that person you see in World of Warcraft, if you're who we're walking around with all the epic raid gear, and you're kind of like, oh, I want that stuff. So you kind of get a little sense of that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if you're boring and you don't want to do a dungeon delve, you can skip it, but come on, you got to do that. What'd be great is someday if fans or you guys put out like quality pictures of the all the items, and I don't know.
I would love to do that, because
then you can
originally, when I first thought of DestinyQuest, I kind of wanted to have every item illustrated.
Right.
But then once I started writing it and realized there was hundreds of them, and I thought, well, I'd be bankrupt, you know what I mean?
Let's get a brilliant fan of yours to do it for you. I think that.
But interestingly enough, wait for the Kickstarter, because there's something along those lines that is an option for.
All right. Well, speaking of
people
that,
with the money, if they want to do it, they can.
So you got a Kickstarter in February. I got a few of the cards from your last Kickstarter. They're like playing cards. I mean, they're not playing cards, and a couple other really cool items. So I'm sure you'll have probably some cool perks on top of.
There is. Yeah.
And do you mind if I reveal? I think you already revealed it in Twitter, but the final cover.
Actually, you're the first person to do it.
Really?
No one has seen this cover yet.
Oh man, that's awesome! Can I do it now?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, here we go. Final cover. The Blam. This is insane art. Who is your artist?
Federico Massetti. He's an Italian artist.
Man.
And he did the artwork for my Italian translations. And I was just so impressed with the artwork he was doing for those that I just thought I just kind of wanted to try him out on this. I mean, he's just such a fantastic artist.
Yeah.
And I just thought, wow, I really love him to, do this book.
I got to say, Michael, this doesn't give me a sense of peace, and I'm assuming not good things might happen in the Wrath of Ragnarok.
Yeah, it's there's a lot that happens in this book. Let's put it that way.
That's awesome. Love the cover. Can't wait to see it. You also sent me 2 more pictures in our emails. You mind if I pull those up? When you can.
Yeah. I think there were just some examples. I was talking about the mythic monsters.
Is that this one or the other one? You sent me this one and that one.
Yeah. So there's 2. They're just examples of, this is kind of the artwork, and there's quite a lot that's going to be done in this book, which is kind of, it's not happened before. I don't tend to have a lot of artwork in DestinyQuest books, but this one probably has a lot more. And these are just some examples of, I won't go into spoilers or anything like that and explain what the encounters are, but these kind of show you how, these mythic monsters, that some of the stages have a lot more to them. You know what I mean?
Okay. I was thinking this was some sort of dungeon puzzle, but now I see what you're saying. So
yeah. So this is actually it's a combat, and it will make more sense when
sure.
you have the context of it. But it's just to show you how, and this is another one where this is all about positioning. This one, but it's just to show you that there's a lot more to these mythic monster combats.
Gorgeous sketch as well. I mean, the dice are gorgeous.
Oh, he's done some, because there's also puzzles as well in the book, visual puzzles, and I mean the artwork is stunning. And David, who's done this artwork, he's doing the maps as well. Interestingly enough, he sent me today the first map, for the inside front cover, which looks fantastic. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm very honored to have him work on my books. Really, he's very easy to work with, and he's done all the art. Because as I mentioned about the Kickstarter, there are going to be art postcards, and loot cards, and he's done all the art for those. And yeah, they just look amazing.
Yeah, now that you say that, I realize some of these cards you sent me, these are items, not all of your items. Yeah, these are some of the items.
Well, even the post, so they are, I call them loot boosters, and they're an item that's not actually in the book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's kind of like, and you're told when you can equip it. But then what's quite cool about these is if you flip them over, sorry, I'm not doing a very good job of this. There is you can actually upgrade them as you play through the book.
I thought these were just collectibles. I didn't realize they had utility. This is amazing.
Yeah, and they're kind of like super powerful items, with really good abilities. And I think they're kind of there for people that I wouldn't say like sort of wanting to cheat, but if they just want to kind of make combat a lot easier, or just kind of completely overpower their character. And there's people out there that just enjoy doing that, and this is what they're designed for.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah, and it's just a fun thing. And then you equip it at a certain point in the book, and then you're told when you can sort of upgrade it, and then you can upgrade it, and then you split the card over, and you've got the kind of upgraded version of it.
Right.
Which means that basically you can carry that same item throughout the whole book. Yeah, so not all items are upgradable. So that those ones you got there, they were originally on some bookmarks that came out a long time ago, and then for the last Kickstarter, I had them done as sort of loot cards. So,
well, if you're going to give me the option to play on baby mode, so I don't get hurt, so I can just enjoy the story, that's probably the option I normally choose.
Yeah, that's what they're designed for, and also even the art postcards, which I do for each Kickstarter.
Yes.
So these are kind of artwork of different characters. These are from the first 3 books. But if you turn them around, you've got items on the back as well. So
yeah.
So they're kind of like super powerful, again, items that you can equip. So if you can imagine, if you've got one of these art postcards and got that equipped, and then you've got one of the other items equipped as well, then you're going to be a superhero, aren't you, really?
So you're telling me if I own this Witchbane card, just because I have the card in my hand, and somewhere in the book it says if you own it, add it.
Well, it's not that. It will actually say on the card. It says.
Okay,
it will actually tell you on the card. You can equip this when you complete.
Okay.
When you complete Bullets over Blighthaven, so that's a quest. So when you play the book and you've completed that quest, then you know that you can then equip this, and no one else. Well, and only the people that will have that postcard will be able to equip that item. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. This is fantastic.
So they're just little collectibles, and I think fans like them, and they always have nice artwork.
Well, I thought they just were collectibles. I didn't realize they also had utility inside the game, so that makes it even better. I got to go back through. Just one thing I want to say about Raiders of Dune Sea right off the bat. There's an epic betrayal. I mean, you really get a sense that with it's kind of like the opening scene of the book, and just it's almost like emotional. And you'll see that in the review if you watch the video where I reviewed it. I got to that point, I believe, and then I didn't want to go a lot farther. But
I think character is the big thing that I kind of, with Raiders of Dune Sea, and more so with Wrath of Ragnarok, because you're kind of more in a party. You know what I mean? It's not just your hero. You actually have sort of companions that you meet and join up with, and I think with Wrath of Ragnarok, more so, there's a lot more character interactions, and it records those interactions, so you kind of have an influence on your companions. And I just think that's really a kind of another level that perhaps was missing a little bit in the other previous books. You know what I mean? Just having that sort of kind of group dynamic as well.
Well, it sounds amazing. I don't want to wait the next 2 months, but 60 days it comes out.
That's the Kickstarter. Yeah.
The Kickstarter will start in 60 days.
Roughly, yeah. It's going to be some time in Feb.
Okay. And I'll be pushing that information out as well. But where can people find you at if they want to get involved and get notified?
Well, yeah. So the official website is www.destiny-quest.com.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just search Destiny Quest, in Google, you'll find it. I mean, I tend to update my Facebook page and Twitter more often than I actually do the main website, actually.
Sure.
But there's links to all of my social media on, the Destiny Quest website.
So they can find you on Facebook. Just search Destiny Quest.
Yeah.
Find your group, and then I think you're at Destiny_Quest is your Twitter handle, I believe.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Yeah.
I just tagged you a minute ago.
Okay. Yeah.
Before this meeting started, as I was thinking about these game books. Well, thank you very much. I think we're running out of time here, but I appreciate. I'm very happy that you reached out to me. I love these books, and I hope they do well.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to tell the audience?
I suppose, I mean, the main thing is just obviously, the Kickstarter is going to be coming sort of, I think, probably mid-February. Yeah. There's going to be loads of cool loot. So, I'm really hoping people get on board, help support a penniless author to and help spread the word. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm probably a little bit nervous about it, but because you put so much time, effort, money, and everything into it. But I'm really excited for the new book. I think I'm looking forward to sharing more stuff about it, in the run up to the Kickstarter. So I think definitely if people are interested, to keep an eye on my Facebook and on my main website as well. And because I haven't got a date yet specifically for the start of the Kickstarter, but it will be February, because I've got a guy doing a trailer for it. Mm-hmm. And I've got a couple of wonderful guys who are doing the music for it as well. And so there's a few elements that need to come into place before I can sort of definitively know when I can, launch that Kickstarter. But it's going to be hopefully it'll be pretty epic.
Yeah. Sounds epic. And you got a backer in me. I'm going to back the
cool.
And,
that's one anyway. I'm all right.
You got one. I'm super excited, and I'm hoping, I can push as many people towards you as well, because these are really fun.
Thank you.
And I'm excited to get kind of involved with the community as well. Because I don't know, I think it'd be fun to talk to other people who've played through this and see what their experiences are, and compare characters and item sets and all that stuff. So might be cool to just be able to do that. So, well, Michael, thank you. Have a great Christmas. And I appreciate you taking the time. And
no problems.
Yeah. Peace out. I appreciate it.
All right. Cheers. Thanks.